Have you ever heard of TED Talks? Would you like to know what they are and how to prepare one? Keep watching this video to find it out.
The main contribution of this video is that there will be a tutorial available for those who want to learn how to make a TED Talk. Through the tutorial, the viewer will be able to learn the main features of it and learn the tips that will help him or her nail a TED Talk.
This tutorial has been created because it will give the people who are interested in the topic a chance to learn some tips about how to do a TED Talk, but also this video will present a thorough analysis of the main features of this genre by including some of its main characteristics. What are TED Talks? They are brief talks between 18 minutes or less that go on about a variety of different topics with different motives. Some are focused on being funny, inspiring, and so on. TED stands for Technology, Entertainment and Design, which was the aim for the talks when this organization first started. The idea was to convert these three topics into an educational talk. Today, TED Talks revolve around a million of different topics, from science to business to global issues.
TED Talks occur during the TED conferences. There are a variety of different ones. The main one known as TED is held annually in the North American West Coast. One main characteristic of this conference is that there are over 50 talks during that week. Other types of conferences held by the organization are called TED Global, TED Women, and TED Youth. Nowadays, TED Talks can be found on their website.
TED Talks as a genre do not have just one purpose. In fact, they have multiple. One of them being, as stated in the website, to spread ideas. Other purposes include to inform the viewers and the audience about research and objects made in relation to technology, entertainment, and design. But the main purpose of TED Talks would be to inspire people to make a change, since the topic of TED Talks are related to things that could make the world a better place. Now we're going to move on to the genre analysis section. Stay tuned.
We will start the analysis section explaining the rhetorical situation, which, according to Bitzer, is defined as a natural context of persons, events, objects, relations, and a need which strongly invites utterance. In TED Talks, the rhetor, who is the one that produces the genre, will be the speaker giving the talk. As for the intended audience, it can be the people who attend the conference, but also the viewers of TED Talk videos, since the organization uploads almost all their talks to their website. As it was said before, the main purpose of TED Talks would be to inspire people to make a change, to make the world a better place. This genre is created from the need to have a space where valuable and inspiring ideas can be presented among different groups of people.
Now, a little bit of history. TED was born in 1984 by Richard Saul Wurman, who had the idea to converge three different fields, which are technology, entertainment, and design. The first TED Talk ever was about a demo about the compact disc, ebook, and 3D technology implemented by Lucasfilm. However, this first talk didn't succeed, and it was a loss of money. So, in 1990, Wurman and his partner Harry Marks tried again, and this time they were able to raise money. Since then, the TED conference became an annual event in Monterey, California. In the first year of TED, the conference only worked as an invitation-only event, but nowadays it is open to everyone who wants to assist and listen to different presenters.
TED conferences and TED Talks provide an instance for people from all over the world that gather in one space to share ideas that have the potential to change the world we live in. Thus, it makes it a space of multicultural interchange. However, the organization has gone a step further and have created a website where they share most of the TED Talks that are presented in the conferences, making it available for everyone.
There are three variables that will define the register you're going to use when giving a TED Talk. One of them is field. In a TED Talk, you can talk about a variety of topics: global issues, business, science. Actually, you can talk about whatever you want, as long as it makes a change on people's minds.
The second one is tenor, which indicates the relation between the audience and the speaker, in this case an asymmetrical relation, the speakers being experts and the audience non-experts. The last one is mode. Obviously it is spoken, but also the speakers can make use of a presentation as a support, making it multimodal.
As a result, in terms of register, it exists a sort of language variation. For example, sometimes the atmosphere of the conference room or what you are saying requires the use of a formal register. However, those same aspects allow you to use colloquial register by telling jokes and or telling personal stories.
In this kind of speech, you as a presenter are expected to follow certain social mores or social customs that any presenter does when doing a TED Talk. These are, for example, management of the topic, well-ordered ideas, and engaging attitude.
First, it is highly expected that you manage the topic of your presentation because when you are in front of an audience, there's no time for improvisation. Also, your ideas have to be well ordered. You don't want the audience to get confused, so it is important that the outline of your talk maintains a flow.
At the same time, it is expected from the audience to pay attention to the speech, to be respectful, turn off their cell phones, for example, and participate when necessary.
Now, what about tone? When you're giving a talk, there are some features of your speech that you can modify in order to persuade your audience, but also to keep them focused on you. One of them is the tone. As a speaker, you can sound engaging.
This is my passport from 2004. You're not allowed to appear on UK passports with electronic equipment, but I insisted to the passport office that what they were seeing was actually a new part of my body, an extension of my brain, and they finally accepted me to appear with a passport photo.
Third, negativity. You can fall into this. My mother, in the last years of her life, became very, very negative, and it's hard to listen. I remember one day I said to her, "It's October the 1st today," and she said, "I know, isn't it dreadful?" It's hard to listen when somebody's that negative.
Interesting.
And we know that because there's all this language in English that seems to be talking about baseball, but that's really talking about sexual activity. So, for example, you could be a pitcher or a catcher, and that corresponds to whether you perform a sexual act or receive a sexual act. Of course, there are the bases, which refer to specific sexual activities that happen in a very specific order, ultimately resulting in us scoring a run or hitting a home run, which is usually having vaginal intercourse to the point of orgasm, at least for the guy.
We didn't have a group of epidemiologists ready to go who would have gone, seen what the disease was, see how far it had spread. The case reports came in on paper. It was very delayed before they were put online, and they were extremely inaccurate. We didn't have a medical team ready to go. We didn't have a way of preparing people. Now,
Humorous.
I'm going to a concert hall because I can listen to the paintings. And supermarkets, I find this is very shocking, very, very attractive to walk along a supermarket. It's like going to a nightclub. It's full of different melodies. Yeah. Especially the aisle with cleaning products. It's just fabulous. Also, the way I dress has changed. Before, I used to dress in a way that it looked good. Now I dress in a way that it sounds good. So today,
we're not competing with them. We're looking for an experience that both of us will share that's satisfying for both of us. And when you get together for pizza with somebody, what's the first thing you do? You talk about it. You talk about what you want. You talk about what you like. You may even negotiate. How do you feel about pepperoni? Not so much. I'm kind of a mushroom guy myself. Well, maybe we can go half and half. And even if you've had pizza with somebody for a very long time, don't you still say things like, should we get the usual? Or maybe something a little more adventurous?
Okay. Amusing.
so there was a lot that was missing, and these things are really a global failure. The WHO is funded to monitor epidemics, but not to do these things I talked about.
In order to be the greatest speaker and to inspire the audience.
The structure of TED Talks is similar to the one of a presentation, in the sense that they have an introduction in which the speaker usually starts with a rhetorical question, a joke, a quote, etc. Then he moves on to explaining his topic, where he makes use of slides to support what he's saying. He may even ask the audience questions. And finally, there's a conclusion which can end with a question that makes the audience think or reflect about the topic of the talk. It may end with an invitation or with a final reflection.
This generates monologic, since the person who is exposing the topic is not talking or having a conversation with the audience. Moreover, the talk is semi-rehearsed. Even when the speaker presents a topic that might have a certain order, he or she can actually alter some parts in order to do the talk more natural and spontaneous.
Something important you have to know are some features of this genre that will help you to do your speech more interesting. And I'm not talking about what to say, but how to say it. The volume has to be high enough so that the audience can hear you.
The pitch is something natural of every person, but when doing a speech, the presenter can change it depending on what is trying to be said. For example, when telling a story that has multiple voices, or maybe if the intention is to be funny, and also when expressing emotions, the pitch can be changed.
In general, you should maintain a normal rhythm if you want to be understood by the audience. The important thing is that you use the rhythm of your speech in a way that it can flow and that pauses are beneficial for it and not a setback for your speech. In most of the talks, the presenter speaks in a normal speed, which allows the audience to understand the message that is being delivered.
Apart from the speech being a form of communication, people transmit messages in multiple ways that you may not even know about. For example, did you know that the way you dress is a form of communication, or that the way you manage your time is also a way of communicating?
So, when preparing for a TED Talk, you should be aware of the following aspects. Gestures and movement. Maintaining a straight posture. This shows the audience the confidence and security of the presenter. At the same time, it's up to you if you want to use your hands and/or face to make emphasis or to make a point about something.
Distance. It is established by the speaker being up on the stage and the audience sitting in their chairs.
Touching. Since there's a distance both physical and in terms of the relationship between the presenter and the audience, there is no touch such as the one that exists between friends.
Eye contact. Maintain eye contact with the audience so that they can feel that you are talking to them.
Time. Use your time well so that you don't end up with a TED Talk that lasts over 30 minutes, since in that case your audience may end up bored.
Voice. Try to vary your tone so that it exists a relationship between what you're saying and how you're saying it.
Movement on stage. Move around the stage in a natural way so you can help to catch the audience's attention.
Dressing. You should be dressed in a semi-formal way, not forgetting feeling comfortable with it.
When doing a thorough analysis of the way in which presenters do a TED Talk, it can be found that there is a variety of features present in its spoken grammar, such as disfluencies. For example, when a presenter does a pause in his speech. Fillers, for instance, when the person uses words like to gain time, or when words are repeated like trying to remember something.
However, we believe that they do not characterize how TED Talks should be. Instead, they are part of the way in which people communicate, especially when doing it orally.
They naturally appear, as Colin and Kuo said. Spoken English is usually spontaneous and unplanned and produced in real time with no opportunity for editing. This spontaneity produces some distinct features as the speaker deals with and adapt to the pressures of real-time processing, resulting in a step-by-step assembly of speech.
Now that we have shown an analysis, we are going to wrap up the video with a tutorial that is going to be helpful for you if you ever have to make a TED Talk.
Tip 1. Be prepared. This doesn't mean that you have to memorize your script by heart. Instead, you could create some bullet points that will help you to remember part of it.
Tip 2. Make it engaging. Even if it means that you have to change your natural pitch to tell a story, do it. It will catch the audience attention. Also have some form of visual support, such as a PPT presentation or a set of images to show.
Tip 3. Content is not everything. Remember that there are multiple ways in which you can transmit a message apart from speaking, so you should be aware of other channels of communication, such as your voice, the way you dress, eye contact, and many others.
Tip 4. Don't talk non-stop. Remember that there's an audience listening to you, so you don't want to end up doing a TED Talk that lasts more than 45 minutes.
Tip 5. Don't rush it. We just said that you shouldn't end up with a talk of more than 45 minutes. But this doesn't mean that you should speak at full speed. If you do it, people may not understand you.
Tip 6. Yeah. We know that it may be nerve-wracking to speak in front of thousands of people, but if you prepare enough your speech, shouldn't come out full of yeah.
Tip 7. Just be yourself. It's a TED Talk, and it is about something that could change the world. But you have to remember that you're an expert at this topic, so be confident and be yourself. In that way, you're going to make a killer talk.
Keep these tips in mind, and thanks for watching!